Hi, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I'm Odell. This is
JT.
and we're News, where we talk about all the cool stuff in comic books. Unfortunately, it was a slow week. Not a lot came out. Not not a lot of the stuff everybody is reading came out, or everybody wants to be reading came out.
Fair enough.
With that, there were some exceptions to the rule. One being Inhumans. I know you got a chance to read it. What did you think of it?
I'm loving so far this run. They at the end of the last issue, not the current one, but the one prior. So if you haven't read it, spoilers, too bad. I don't care. You find out that when they come to face King the Conqueror, it's actually not him anymore. It's now Black Bolt's son. And so this issue is exploring that conflict a little bit more. But it's also just a really nice kind of a fight issue as well.
Yeah.
With a not necessarily a shocking ending, but more of a sad
It was more
realization.
Yeah, kind of like you knew it was going to come to this. But
Yeah, exactly. You kind of
it.
Exactly. And so if you haven't figured out what that means yet, then I'll tell you. But just go watch, go read it. It's good. The whole series has been good. This most recent series, this whole run has been amazing. I think it's some of the best writing in any current series. Personally, it's up there. I don't know if it's the best, but it's up there as far as just really, really engaging. It's not, it's not overly serious, but it's definitely, it doesn't take itself too seriously in the sense that it's like trying to, solve world peace, create world peace or something. It's got that lighthearted sense to it, but. Yeah, in a sense, it does. It explores, a lot of different avenues emotionally for a lot of the different characters, especially Black Bolt, who
he's got a lot going on.
He does, and he can't talk. And that's a really interesting challenge. I mean, if you think about it, in most comics, the way you articulate how a character feels is they talk about it. Rather, if nothing else, in a thought bubble, but usually they verbalize it some way or another. And Black Bolt doesn't have that ability. And if he talks, people die generally, and things get destroyed. That's just how it works. And in this issue, the two were this week,
issue number 3.
When he does finally say 2 words, they're incredibly powerful. Not only in the sense of it's Black Bolt, so anything he says is incredibly powerful on that sense.
Yes.
But even if he had no quote unquote power backing it up, like just what these are the 2 words he chose to say when he chose to say it. It's just
beautiful.
It's just really impactful writing. I was very impressed, and it's just like, man, it's just good.
It's the Inhumans.
I love the Inhumans.
Nobody really.
I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's even true anymore.
So popular.
They're so much better than the X-Men, and the cool thing is they've always been better than the X-Men, I think. This current run is probably the best that I've seen I don't know if that's true. But it's definitely one of the more consistent. But anyway, it's really good. But Inhumans have always been really good. They've always been just a really, really interesting story. And they've always had, to me, a lot more feeling, a lot better stories than your X-Men comics. And the nice thing about Inhumans is they'll pull in some of the better characters from X-Men from time to time. Beast is in all of these issues. Not necessarily associated with X-Men anymore, but he's as an ambassador, I think, in this one, and so is Johnny Storm. Of course, now he's no longer part of Fantastic Four. He's now an ambassador to the Inhumans. So the Inhumans are taking a much more central role in everything that is happening in the overall Marvel universe. Which is fun to see too, because it makes sense. I mean, when you look at what they're doing on the TV series, they're gearing up to try to build momentum for the eventual Inhuman movie, and they're like, well, we have a few years. We really need to get these guys popular, like you said,
familiarize people with them.
Yeah, on the mainstream.
Not to harp back to what you were saying about Black Bolt communicating, but back in the first issue, I believe it was. When he sees Johnny Storm and they go to walk off, and he stops him, and he picks up the cat and he just puts it out with his hand and just stares at him.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
That's what I'm saying. The writing is so good.
He communicates.
Black Will's such a great character. In that he does communicate, and he communicates a million words without saying a single word. But I think this issue is no different. I think it's really well written. It's got a lot of action, but it's got a lot of emotion. It's got a little bit of humor. There's a part where the humor comes through, I think, particularly well with Hank, where there's a battle scene and there's arrows, and so they try to defend it, and I think the quote was something to the effect of Hank is talking about. He goes, don't be so hard on yourself. There's 1,000 arrows and only 5 made it through. It is unfortunate that one of those 5s happened to hit me, but it's just, it's not. They don't try too hard. It's not like it's not like a knock joke or something. It's very subtle, but it plays really well. In the middle of a battle scene. It fits the character, and it's just a little nod towards humor and where you need it to keep it light while dealing with some really heavy stuff. Anyway, that was a long description, but it was really good. They've all been really good. If you have a whole box at your local comic store, Uncanny Inhumans need to be in it because every issue you need to have.
And if you're going to jump in it, I would do it now because it looks like we're about to start their first major battle of this new arc with them. So, if you want to,
I would argue this is the first major battle, really, because you figure I know what you're saying. It's not a super, but it's still, and it's an issue-long battle. It's a major battle. It's not a multiple issue battle. It's not a major arc necessarily. It's kind of the end of a mini arc.
Okay.
It's kind of what it is at this point. Like there was like a 3-issue, not really ending. It could continue on to the next one too.
And I believe that's what it's going to do.
But all that to say, pick it up, but don't start with like the next issue. Go back and get number 1, and it's worth it. If there's only a few, go pick them up. It's definitely worth reading all the way through. Not just for the backstory, just because they're good. They're just really good.
It's a fun read.
It's definitely my. It's in my top 5. Right up there with Hellboy, the new series, which is 1953. Yeah. Hellboy 1953, I think. And then Spawn is always on my top. And then Harley Quinn, which is actually the other one that came out this week. That was really good. Actually about Harley. Harley's a little bit harder because it's harder to jump right in because there's so much going on. That there's so much backstory that kind of plays into what's happening in this issue. So it's harder for a new reader to probably just jump right in. But I think even if you did, it's just a fun. Harley Quinn, at least this current run, is such a fun comic. It's one of those where it's not silly. That's not really the right word, but it's definitely tongue in cheek. It's definitely lighthearted, and it is. It's really well done, though. It's not stupid or, like I said, silly, but it's lighthearted, but a little bit dark, and it's a really interesting but very, very good combination. And again, one of my favorites. It's on my top 5, I guess. And whenever it comes out, again, I would say even if you have to jump in right now, if you could go back a little bit, that'd be good. But really, if you go back to the beginning, New 52, when she first jumped in. It's a lot to read, but it'd be worth it. It's I believe it's a trade now, the first however many issues, so I think you could get it that way. But it's so good, and she's such a great character. She's changed a lot. We actually talked about this. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch our Jonathan Marks interview. Yeah. But I believe we talked with him about that. I must say, first of all, I apologize so much. There's so much going wrong with that interview. Nothing to do with him. He was great.
Yes. Special thank you to Jonathan Marks. Again, for the end of the show, but special thank you for him to come out and hang with us before he did his big signing over in the other story. So.
Right, which is another one that came out this past week that we should talk about. But the thing I will say is that he kind of alluded to it. Was Harley Quinn has just changed so much since she was first introduced in the television series. And some people like it, some people don't. He didn't like it as much. He was a fan of the original Harley Quinn from the animated series. Then she kind of took a turn towards stripper, I guess, for lack of a better word. Homicidal stripper.
They sexed her up.
And they did, and maybe a little too much. She's come back a little bit. She's still very revealing in her clothing, I guess you would say, in her attire. But her personality, at least. Now, she's broken away from the Joker, so that's important. That's definitely changed her, and I think you could see that. So she's a little bit more independent, or a lot more independent, but she's a little bit more maybe mature. I don't know. But she still retains that almost like innocent little girl, happy-go-lucky, persona that I think was what people really liked about her in the cartoon. And you don't have you very rarely have her go, yeah, hey, Mr. J. You don't have that as much because she doesn't have that relationship anymore. But some of that old mentality and personality comes through really well, I think, nowadays. Yeah, she's sexed up a little bit, I guess, but they don't really play to it, as much. I mean, really, other than her costume being a little bit more sexualized. But to be fair, that's every comic book character that's a female.
And I think
for better or worse, that's just how they're depicted.
I think that's the thing. If she had just gave this sexier look and kept her personality from the show, it would have been different, and a lot more people would have been on board with her.
Well, and that's kind of what I think. You see that more now. I mean, no, it's still not the exact same, but again, a lot of what you saw came from the fact that she was under Joker. She was infatuated with Joker. And so you have that girlfriend obsessive relationship where he kind of wanted to kill her, but as soon as he tried to and she'd run away, he missed her. And that was part of the appeal to it as well. I think it was 50% Joker and 50% her.
Relationships I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it was so much fun to watch and read, and it was just you saw a side of the Joker that you just never saw. It didn't make him any less menacing or any less crazy, because his I guess love is the right word. His affinity for her was just as crazy as any other of his emotions. His anger or his happiness, they're all painted with this brush of crazy. And this was no different. This was no different. So I think a lot of the appeal of her character originally was that humanizing of the Joker. And I think when she broke away from that, a lot of people weren't necessarily a fan of this new independent Harley, who was her own woman. And it was very, very much a coming-of-age story almost, for lack of a better word, where, she's grown up, she's moved out, she's left the abusive husband kind of thing, and it's like, who am I now? What is my identity? Now that my identity is no longer tied to this man, do I still retain the makeup? Do I still keep the the look? And it's like, yeah, you do to an extent, and you just change it up a little bit. And the New 52 version of how she gets her uniform and everything else, it just makes so much sense, and it's so good, and that mentality is current. Has run even to this current issue where she's her own person. She definitely has her scars from those relationships. She definitely has that same personality that plays through, but she's grown up a little bit. She's got her own followers now. She's got her own tenants and people and in relationships that she's tending to. She's just a much bigger character, and I personally love it. I think it's great. I think she's such a great character, and I love seeing her taking bigger and bigger steps. And this particular issue was just funny and gross and silly and disgusting all at once, and it was amazing in a way that only Harley Quinn can pull off. It's also my daughter's favorite character. Not that it has anything to do with anything, but just throwing that out there.
Kids love it. It's gotta be good.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for kids.
He has
per se
special kids,
but my kids are really mature. I don't know what to tell you, or I'm just a bad parent. But
it could be a little bit of both.
I do pre-read it. Like, there are certain ones I won't let her read.
Oh, no, you don't.
No, you ain't reading this. I do pre-read them. Just throwing it out there. And if it's too explicit in any way, I will give her the synopsis. Like, you can read every page but this page. You have to skip. I'm going to put up a little piece of paper. No, it's but anyway, the point is, it's just a fun and really awesome comic. So pick that one up as well. And then go. So you talk about yours, and we'll talk about Mr. Mark's contribution.
Actually, mine is a two-parter.
Of course.
Well,
I talked about two. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Why. We don't have any kind of format, clearly.
No.
The 20 viewers they'll recognize it. I
enjoyed Red Hood and Arsenal so much. I enjoy this relationship so much. And it's almost kind of like a big brother, little brother thing, but they don't quite see eye to eye. It's kind of like the little brother gets them both in trouble, and the big brother's been in trouble before, and he's
trying to avoid it.
So yeah, kind of like that. Don't do it. Fine.
Yeah, it's like, this isn't going to end well. I'm telling you right now, this is how it's going to end, which isn't going to be well. But you don't want to listen. We're going to go through with it. And then at the end, you're like, I told you, this is how this is going to go. And I guess that is fun to explore. I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry. And I'm going to go ahead and hit on this now, because both of your picks are...
Well, I'm going to bash most of that, so it's fine.
Okay. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I know he's a beloved character, and I, too, loved him at one time. I'm so over Robin's, all of them. I don't care.
The war continues.
I don't care. I just don't anymore. I liked him when he was with just Batman, and he was a side character, and he had a story, and he had his own thing going on, and that was cool. And then I like Nightwing, the original Nightwing, not Agent Nightwing or whatever he's become. I like Nightwing. I was like, okay, he branched out, he got on his own. He's kind of on the same level as Batgirl now. And then we still have a new Robin. That's fine. And I like what they did with Damian. I liked all of that. I hung in there a long time. But now it's almost Robin. It seems like recently, very recently, Robin's almost surpassed Batman as far as in DC's mind, not necessarily in the public mind.
Now, question: do you think that's because they have taken Bruce Wayne out of the role of Batman?
Oh, no, that's a good point. Well, yeah, but they didn't do that in every version of Batman.
Well, no, but in the one that counts.
Is it really the one that counts? I mean, I guess it is.
Batman.
Yes, you're right.
By himself, Batman, I would say then, yeah, it's the one that counts. But if you want, your Justice League Batman, then
right?
No,
you
doesn't affect anything.
So, that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I see what you're saying, and while I'm not a fan of Dick Grayson, while I'm not a fan of Commissioner Gordon being Batman.
Horrible idea.
I don't even think it was a horrible idea. I just don't think it was executed well. And
taking Bruce Wayne out of the role of Batman is a good idea. Putting Gordon in the role of Batman is a horrible idea.
I think it's been going on too long. I think if he filled the role for an issue, in an emergency, Batman's unconscious. He's out on he's amnesia. Really, Scott Snyder?
Well,
amnesia.
Spoiler warning. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil this.
Well, it comes back.
The amnesia is starting to fade, and
we knew that was coming. We knew that was coming.
He's admitted to himself that he's Batman.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that was coming for a while. I mean, we know 50 is gonna be a big thing. Issue 50 is the end of the run.
Good, yes.
And there's bigger and better things. In fact, Scott Snyder just tweeted yesterday or earlier this week that he had just finished meeting with the heads of DC. They've approved the next big arc, and so he's already started working on that. So whatever's post number 50 is, issue 50 is, should be interesting.
We have Wayne back.
Well, yes, I mean that's what it sounds like. Is we're gonna have Bruce Wayne back as Batman, which we kind of knew was happening. I don't know, but I'm calling. I think his wife will die. I don't know that Commissioner Gordon will die.
I think she leaves him.
I don't know if she leaves. She's either going to turn. It's either going to be like a twist where she was the bad guy this whole time, and in that case maybe there's a falling out because she's evil. But I think she's going to die. I could be wrong. I think she's going to die. We'll see. Commissioner Gordon, I don't think he'll die, but hopefully he'll just. I don't know where they're going to go with this though, because they have all these freaking bunny suits.
Gordon. Well, eventually Batman gets one. I think.
I don't want Bruce Wayne to have a bunny. I don't want Iron Man Batman.
You know he's never going to use it. But anyway.
we've had that before. We've had that, and it was done well. It was done well, but I don't need that anymore. I'm over it. And the bunny suit is horrible.
This issue.
We call it New Tangents for a reason.
Yeah, it just anyway. This issue is really cool for a number of reasons. One, because it takes place during this Robin War. It has nothing to do with the Robin War.
Well, that's refreshing.
So
I will say,
it's referenced.
I'm going to keep interrupting. I'm in an interrupting mood today, people. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is an awesome cover. I will give it that. I love this cover.
It's fucking amazing.
It is really good. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that.
It's fucking amazing.
I'm very impressed. I'm not normally impressed with. I mean, I'm not turned off by it. But I'm not normally impressed with these covers for Red Hood or any of the Batman lines generally. But I like that one. Go ahead. Sorry.
This one in particular explores the relationship between Red Hood and Red Robin.
Mm-hmm.
And it dives really deep into that. Well, because Red Robin says to Red Hood, he's like, yeah, trying to fill Dick Grayson's shoes were hard. But could you imagine trying to fill the shoes of the Robin who died in the line of duty?
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a powerful line that nobody has ever really dealt with before.
That's true, because there's really no way to up him unless you die.
Yeah.
And then that's not really a win for you.
You either super pass and you become Tim Drake. Grayson.
Yeah.
Secret agent guy, whatever
That's
he is.
so bad.
Or you die.
Stop that run. Stop that series. Take him away. No more secret agent.
No more.
It's stupid.
Everything go back to the way it was.
I think you have to go back to the way it was. I mean, it'd be nice.
Get your Nightwing outfit.
Go back to being Nightwing.
Go back to Batman.
Or die. I don't care. But not secret agent. Whatever.
But while that's going on, this issue has done the impossible. At least something I didn't think was going to be possible. They make the Joker's daughter a character. They make her a real person. With emotions. And you actually kind of start to feel some emotions for her.
That's good.
And the relationship between her and Arsenal, as he's calling himself now, Arrow, is like these two broken people who get it. Or at least one of them is starting to get it. Like, they're forced to be together because Red Hood disappears on them. And through this mission they go on, he sees her for what she is. And he has this moment of, well, maybe that's where Hood left us.
Oh, my.
With that being said,
there we go.
This.
Not as good.
This has got to stop soon.
Look at this. Hold on. I just want to say.
What the fuck? You can go say.
Compare the covers. I don't normally do this. I don't. The old adage, "Don't judge a book by its cover," is doubly so for a comic book.
Oh my god!
But come on. I mean, this looks like I drew this. Amazing, powerful, good comic, good story, good issue. Not in any of those things. Cover reflects it.
The thing that is saving
Batman the artist
Eternal, the one part of the story that is saving that story is Red Robin and Red Hood. Their interactions throughout the entire story are awesome. When all of the Robins get together, it is awesome. Bluebird, whoever this other ninja chick is, and Grayson slow this story to a crawl. And even though there's action in it, it just feels... Yeah, it's like, okay,
don't care.
When's it gonna get cool again? When's it gonna get cool again? It doesn't. Where's the issue with Red Hood? Because you can't.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we need to talk about that one anymore.
It's like...
Skip it.
I mean...
Just it doesn't matter. I guess unless you really like the series. Then what the fuck do we do?
Because there are cool things about the series. I like how it's about all of the Robins. It's kind of like and spoiler because we didn't talk about this last week. Azrael is back.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And at first I was like, I really hope this isn't a whole thing just to bring back Azrael because that'll be weird and pointless. But
and that's what it was.
No, he's back, but we don't really know the end game of all this yet, or what the end game of all this really is. Something I believe is going in the direction of Azrael was created to be the perfect Robin, but never quite made it to Robin or something.
I don't know.
It's all very obvious.
He was actually created to be Batman.
Well, and that could very well be so, but
then went bad.
It's New 52. I can change whatever.
Yeah, you can change what you want. Speaking of which, it's our debate of the day.
Oh yes, changing what you want. We've seen where the hires up have decided to completely change a character, and it's been
some have been for the good,
successful, and then
some for the bad.
Then we have some that are just downright terrible and stupid and horrible. Example, Jim Gordon Batman.
That would be an example of a bad choice.
Yes.
But that's not really a permanent change. Because you're not changing the character. If you think of Batman...
Wasn't supposed to be permanent? Do we know that?
I don't think it was supposed to be permanent. I don't think there was ever a world where somebody in DC signed off on, okay, we are forever changing Batman to...
forever. Well, nothing in comics is really set in the land of forever.
I think that's not true. I think Batman... It's like... Mr. Marks. He doesn't go by Mr. Marks. Jonathan Marks said Batman's gonna be Bruce Wayne again. We know this.
Yeah, eventually there's a return.
Thor will be Thor Odinson again. There are these things where they will come back to their core selves, however they were originally more or less introduced. At some point. So when we talk about these departures, I think you have to understand that at some point they're probably going to reverse themselves.
True.
For the most part. Now there's certain characters, that maybe that's less the case. There were more permanent decisions.
At least Batman in particular, that was supposed to be a long-standing character.
No,
at
I don't
least
think so.
For a year. I don't think it was supposed to be, okay, we'll just change it for a couple months.
Yeah, I think it was 6 months. It'll be 6 months by the whole time. Maybe more, right? What did it take over?
I believe it'll be 6 months. I believe it will be.
So that's about right. That's your arc right there. I mean, that's enough.
Now, do you think they would have let him stay longer if he had sold more? Like if he had
I don't. Maybe.
Like really
I think if he had really, really, really just knocked out of the park and the fan reaction was just off the board positive, maybe they'd have considered it. But I don't think that was ever Snyder's original intention. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think so. I think, he had a story he wanted to tell. I don't particularly think it was a good story, but he liked it, and, it was his run, so that's what he was able to do.
Such good elements. Like, Mr. Bloom is
Mr. Bloom is a great character. Absolutely a great character. It would have been a great character for Bruce Wayne to fight.
Yes.
Well, instead of wasting it on this. Oh, you know what? I won't even say that it was bad, because when he was in his Batman guise, and those fight scenes between Batman, yes, it was Gordon, but we don't look at it. It was just Batman and Mr. Bloom. Those were good. They were pretty good. The problem is you could never turn off the fact that you knew it was Gordon behind the cowl.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's what it was.
There was a part of you that was like, this is pretty good. I want to like it. But it's Commissioner Gordon, so I just don't care. And then the problem is that those never lasted very long. And then you were back on the underground base with 14,000 robots, part of this army. We're going to ship them all over the world. The bunny, the bunnies. It's like...
I mean, that's a case of it not working. Depowered Superman. A lot of people hated Depowered Superman. Me, personally, he was my favorite version. Because he was while he was still Superman, he wasn't, I can outmuscle any problem and I'm impervious to everything. He wasn't a god. So I got him. A lot of people didn't like him. And these are cases where, and numbers will back it up, because the sales for both of these books drop. Batman came a lot faster than Superman, but needless to say, they both dropped.
Well, when you take the character too far from its roots, you alienate a certain number of fans, I think. There's some people that'll take that ride with you. But there's a lot of people that won't. I'm just like, no, it's just not the guy I know enough.
Well, I mean, to that argument, we've seen where changing something dramatically has made it incredibly successful.
Sure.
Jane Foster's story has been around for quite a long time. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon.
But that's because it's got good writing, it's a good story, and you go with it.
Black Captain America has been around for a while. Doesn't seem
to be fair, though,
he
was already an established character,
True.
Not as Captain America, but he wasn't. And I guess you could argue the same thing with Commissioner Gordon. But Commissioner Gordon was never. He was not at Batman's level. He wasn't even like at a Robin level. I think that's what the hardest part is. Like, Commissioner Gordon was this old guy who was, he worked his way up the ranks of the thing, but he was a cop. He was a human guy. He didn't have any special fighting ability. Maybe he was a little rough and tough, and he certainly, had a lot of bravery and was willing to stand up to things. Sure, he had some of that going for him, maybe, but, I mean, up until recently, like, he was depicted as, 58, 60 years old.
He wasn't a badass.
Which, don't get me wrong, 56-year-old Bruce Wayne is a threat.
Because he's
Bruce Wayne. He's been honing those skills. That's just 60 years of experience. That's all that is. This Commissioner Gordon, he's got 50, 60 years of, being a cop, but
you knew when I knew it was
not the same.
When they brung in the Justice League, and they went to go get him so they could help them solve this intergalactic crime or how this monster. They're like, really? Really?
And that's what I don't like. It's like instantly he puts on the cowl, and he's right there. He's at that level. It's somehow the suit is magical. Like he puts on a suit, and it's like Shazam, right? It's like, now I'm Batman God. Like, it's like, no, you don't have 20 years of martial arts training. You don't have.
You're not the world's greatest detective.
You're not the world's greatest detective. Like, there's some stuff that just came. Yes, you are a detective. You grew up as a cop detective. I get it. But that doesn't make you super intelligent like Batman is, which we've already discussed. That's his superpower. He is super intelligent. He is a superhero for that reason. And, yes, he's not super strong, all these other things, but he can compensate with his super intellect. Commissioner Gordon has nothing that would make him the easy, quick pick for replacing Batman. He's not a superhero. Never has been. He's not even a vigilante. Like, it goes against everything he as a character. That's why I don't think people like it. It doesn't make any sense that he would be the choice. You have 57 Robins raging war over here that could be Batman. You have, you've had other people come in that have played Batman over the time that were actually superhero level. Freaking Slade Wilson could come back. It'd be better than this. Like, anything would be better than Commissioner. Not anything, but yeah. Anyway,
it was just a bad.
Such a bad idea. It doesn't make any sense.
And even with Spider-Man, being that they invented a whole new character in Miles Morales to take over this role of being Spider-Man, it was done in a beautiful way. Yeah. Like, he didn't even want to be Spider-Man. Like,
well, that's you have to be.
And you get Spider-Man killed, more or less, because you refuse to help him.
Yeah.
So you let him die, and now you have the weight of this on your shoulders, and this guilt, and now you choose to become Spider-Man.
This is kind of related, but
he was a character.
I liked what they did with, like, the Clone Wars, like Scarlet Spider and all that. I love those characters. That was an example.
I really hope Kane manages to pop up somewhere at some point.
Who?
Kane. Scarlet Spider.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I doubt it.
I think that's good. Oh, but I was going to say another one that's kind of, I think, I guess it's a reboot. I mean, it is Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Man 2099, who's now in the modern day, but still the same dude from 2099. It's like they killed the 2099 series as a whole, that world or universe, whatever I guess it was considered, which I think is a shame because I really enjoyed those, but I don't think they ever sold super well.
I wasn't super familiar with them.
I really enjoyed them. I mean, they were coming out. I had all the number ones as a kid. I guess kid's not the right word, but well, yeah, no, I guess I was still. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I had all the number ones, Spider-Man, Punisher, and so forth, and they were really good. Some were better than others, but the Spider-Man was consistently good, and the Punisher was consistently good. Doom, not as much, and so there's some others, but my point is I think that the idea was sound, but I like how they took that character, who they knew they had a really good character in. They couldn't keep the 2099 world open, but the suit was amazing.
So they were like...
The suit was so good. Like, whoever... I don't know who it was who designed that, but...
in Black Fury, let's go.
Yeah, we're going to pull it. And I like it. Like, bring him back. That's fine. I was okay with it. I like that series. I was very surprised to see that, but
here's the question.
Okay.
Not to cut you off.
Nah, it's whatever. What we do.
Is there a defined stopping point at where you... for when you're changing a character?
What do you mean?
That, like, okay, we want to change...
Can't go too far.
Green Arrow. This is the stopping point.
Yeah, go ahead then.
I forget.
It's a camera. How do you miss it? It's right there.
Yes, I forget.
What?
I forget.
No, not that. No. Green Arrow?
But it's like, okay.
Well, you're not going to make them yellow.
This is the stopping point.
I think anything that negates his name, like, is a stopping point. Like, if you got a Green Arrow, you're not going to make him yellow. Well, if you have Batman, he's not going to run around in a...
That's somebody said that, and that's how we got Commissioner Gordon as Batman. You know? It didn't change his name.
Yeah, but here's
okay.
Yeah. Well, but Batman, to be fair, Batman is sort of more of a title than a character. No?
I think...
Because if you argue it the other way around, then you could swap... Or you could... I don't know how I want to word this. Because I've seen other people take up the role of Batman successfully. Not long term.
There's a difference in success and the mark he took up the role as. To some degree, Grayson was successful as Batman, but he wasn't no Bruce Wayne.
No.
Bane took over as Batman for a little while. And while he was successful, because nobody wanted to fight him, he wasn't no Bruce Wayne.
True.
He wasn't a Bruce Wayne Batman.
Well, you're never going to have a Bruce Wayne Batman, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Batman is only as good as the person wearing the cowl. And I think that's my point. Batman is not the character. Batman is a title worn by a different character. We all love Bruce Wayne, but we don't say Bruce Wayne. We say Batman because that's his title, almost. I mean, yes, character name, but hear me out. It's a title. You put that title on someone else, Dick Grayson, and you'll go, okay, I accept that he's Batman as a title, but that's not my Batman.
The only way that is accepted is if Batman says, "Here you go."
Even then, it's like the president, right? No, it's like the president. You know, whoever. So like right now, with President Obama, we're gonna in a year or so have somebody else who's, I don't know who's gonna win, but they all look horrible. So I'm not gonna get into that. I'm really terrified because
not politics.
Anybody that wins is gonna be horrible. Doesn't matter. My point is, it doesn't matter. Well, I shouldn't say that. What I'm trying to say is when that title gets transferred and you have a new president, that person is the president. That's who they are. But it's not going to be the same. They're not going to look back, but to such an extent, and go, okay, this is what my predecessor did. I want to continue that. I need to be exactly like that person. No, of course not. That's not at all how it works. You come in and you say, okay, this is what I want to do, as president. And that's what happens when you have Batman. You have these people that come in and fill the role, and you go, oh, this is what my Batman will be. It's very similar. You see it all the time when people take over series as writers, or in the movies when you see somebody take over a character as an actor, or a director that takes over a series, anything like that. They're not beholden but so much to the past, and people accept that as being okay. And so I think when we talk about Commissioner Gordon as Batman, at least for me when I look at it, we're not mad at Batman because Batman's a title. We're mad at Commissioner Gordon because he shouldn't have ever been Batman. He should have refused the title. And Bruce Wayne is who we associate as being the best Batman. Because he is. He's the original. He's just like nobody will ever compare to George Washington. Use my president stand. There'll be however many more presidents. You know, none of them will ever be George Washington. Now, he may or may not have actually been a great president in reality, but history teaches us that he was the first, he set the standard, he was a great leader, all these things. And so now he's almost become a myth, right? I mean, you know, same thing with like Abraham Lincoln, for example, but to a lesser extent than maybe George Washington, like, you know what I mean? And then, like, if I were to say, who was the 17th president? You don't know. It doesn't matter, right? You know, so there's certain levels. Like, there's George Washington. Everybody knows that.
Who the 17th president is, you're getting banned. Just so you know.
And then you have, like, okay, so it's like, you know, you have this guy who's George Washington. He's the original. He's the best. He's going to be synonymous with the presidency for all of eternity. When you say, hey, name a U.S. president, any U.S. president, George Washington. Like, it's just going to come up. Name Batman. Now it's Bruce Wayne. Of course it's Bruce Wayne. Now, I know it's not a perfect metaphor, but I'm just, hopefully that illustrates my point a little bit of.
I get what you're saying.
So when I'm saying when you change Batman, you're not so much changing the character of Batman, it's the underlying character that you're changing.
Yes.
And that's why I think people are, well, I shouldn't say people. That's why we're so upset about Commissioner Gordon, is because we miss Bruce Wayne.
It's not even that. Like,
I think
can
it
deal
is.
with somebody else being Batman, who's not.
If it's a character you already like.
If it's a character who could.
Or that you feel could do the role of Batman. But that's what I'm saying.
Gordon is a detective.
But not even anymore. He's an administrator. A commissioner isn't a beat cop.
Yes. But
he's a pencil pusher.
Wasn't a world-class martial artist,
right?
Walking forensics lab,
not a billionaire. And that's another thing. It's like, does everybody and their brother know who you are now? Like, he's got corporate sponsors, for Christ's sake. You know, I mean, you could argue Bruce Wayne had corporate sponsors, but he owned the corporation. It's a little different. You know, he was his own corporate sponsor. Exactly. It's a little different than Commissioner Gordon with, you know, going and he's got a whole team of scientists behind him.
Who do everything. He runs around punching people.
And who can be fired. What's the madness in that?
Batman? No, you're not Batman anymore. You're fired.
You're fired from being Batman. What? How is that even a thing?
How do you go back to being a regular cop?
Screw that. How do you get... If I'm Batman, you don't tell me anything. Like, you think Bruce Wayne would stand for that? Somebody going to walk up.
Would have never been in that situation.
Well, of course not. But I'm saying, you think somebody... If you're talking about Bruce Wayne Batman, at any point, in any series, somebody you're fired from Batman. You can't fire me. I am Batman. I am Batman. Now, they know I am Batman. That's just all there is to it. That's just it. Like, I'm Batman.
I think you would throw goddamn in there.
I don't even think you would. I don't think you would need it. It's just...
shirt. I'm the goddamn Batman.
No, it's just...
Give me my check.
No, it's just, I am Batman. That's all it needs to be said. And nobody's going to argue with that. Like, that's the end of all... That's the end of every argument with Batman anyway, is I am Batman. Like, the sun is black. No, it's not. I am Batman. Well, yeah,
that's my new way of getting out of trouble. I just go Frank Miller on them. Wait, why did you do that? Because I'm the goddamn Batman. And just leave. And it worked. Like,
there's no coming back. There's no rebuttal. There's nothing. What are you going to say?
I know.
Okay. You're right. You got me. You got me. That's the end of it.
Okay, Batman. But no, I think there's a definite defined line, and it's not anything that has to do with their name. It's when I think when you change the skill set of that character, he's no longer that character.
Not necessarily. Certain characters are defined by their powers.
Like Batman is defined by the fact he can do anything because he's goddamn Batman.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about like Black Bolt. If for some reason lost his power speech, which still could be an interesting character. He's still the ruler of the Inhumans. Like he's still the king.
Nah.
He's still got his mind. It would be different. Maybe you could argue he'd certainly be less powerful, and so the types of stories you could tell would be different.
I think he'd be less cool all the way around. I think he's cool with ability.
Maybe, but I don't think it would change him as a character.
All of his communication
at the core of it. Well, yeah, no, I agree with that. But I'm just saying, you could still tell a story with him if you want. Or think about somebody like here's a great example. Wolverine. Defined by his adamantium skeleton and claws and his healing factor. Both of which he lost, by the way. And he was still an amazing character.
Because he was Wolverine.
But that's what I'm saying.
No, he was still a trained fucking super assassin at the end of all
Sure,
of it.
But at this point he's a glorified Batman.
So now he's a trained super assassin who doesn't have metal claws, but still has bone claws.
Yeah, but you have to understand, though.
And okay, now he doesn't have a healing factor.
But those are big elements. That is what made him
big. Now that they're gone because they were there, and now we have to read how is he going to deal with this? How is he going to interact with his environment when he doesn't have this luxury of being able to heal from everything?
Yeah, but I guess my point is you're saying that the characters are defined by their skill set and their powers. And it's like Wolverine very much was for a long time. Same thing with Deadpool is another example very similar, where he only got away with the things that he did because he could heal from anything. He went into certain situations, and so when he lost that, you had to approach every story very differently because he couldn't just walk out of an explosion. He couldn't get shot 10 million times. Like, no, that's not going to work this go around. So it definitely changes who they are as a character in that sense. But what's interesting is they're still really good characters in that case. So what I'm saying is I think to an extent, you're right, the power, the skill set can define a character. But I think certain characters have such strong, I don't know if it's personality or just strong backstories that they can overcome the loss of a key factor like that.
I disagree. And here's why. As far as for characters like Wolverine, X-23, it's like they literally said, okay, we're going to make a new Wolverine, but it's not going to be Wolverine. But it's going to have all Wolverine's powers. Wait, that's going to be boring because it doesn't know how to fight. It doesn't know how to do. Okay, well, we'll grow it in the lab and we'll train it to be a soldier just like Wolverine. It's... If you were to take, for instance, after the...
But you're arguing my point at this point. No, you're saying that, yes, he has all the exact same powers and skill sets as Wolverine, but he's not an engaging character. Exactly, because it's not his powers that define him.
But they added that to her to make her an exact replica of Wolverine. Because that's all she really is. She is a female representation of Wolverine.
But she's not. She has the same powers and maybe even the same skill set to an extent, but not the same experience, not the same backstory, not the same emotional ride that we've been through with Wolverine. Therefore, she's not as an engaging a character. You can take all that stuff away from Wolverine, as I've said, they already have in the past, and he's still an engaging character. You still care what happens to him.
I'm just saying, if they were to introduce a brand new Wolverine, like New Wolverine issue 1, and there was just some guy with bone claws and a healing factor, that would make it to issue 1.1 and be done.
Wait, what?
Like, this is the new Wolverine. This isn't Wolverine. Oh, no one's gonna want to read
because Wolverine isn't a title like Batman is. Wolverine is Logan. Nobody else can be Wolverine. Period. You just can't. It's Logan. Batman, to an extent, was designed in such a way on purpose by Bruce Wayne that if he needed to, somebody else could pick up that mantle and run with it. Kind of like Captain America. It's very similar in that sense, where, you know what, you can have somebody come in and take over as Captain America, and you know what?
I will agree with Captain America.
We'll buy it. We may not like it as well, but we buy it.
I will agree with Captain America.
Wolverine doesn't have that. Wolverine doesn't have that. Well, I'm not saying that it's been done well, but I'm saying
just like
I think if it hadn't been Commissioner Gordon and it hadn't been this run, you'd have bought it. If it had been a different character, if it had been Grayson, or if it had been, I don't know, somebody else. I don't know what to tell you. Somebody else that was on par with Bruce Wayne to an extent. Slade Wilson. I think you would have seen.
I just feel like this was a wasted opportunity. You want a new Batman? Fine. You could have just brung in Batman Beyond. And like, okay, here's your new Batman. And then he has an excuse to have a giant mech suit. Because different cast of villains, everything. Meanwhile, Batman is hit. Bruce Wayne's still healing. You can still bring him back. He can still go back to being Batman. And you already have this new established character that everybody likes that you can send off into his own continuity.
That would be smart. No, I agree with you. That could have been it. And they should have done something maybe similar to that. I don't know if it would have been Batman Beyond per se, but maybe.
But just something along those lines would have been a much better idea. It was a halfway good idea that was poorly executed.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, I think
it's over soon.
It's over soon. As are we.
Yes.
It's come to be that time.
We got shit to do, editing.
I have nothing to do.
Reading to do.
I'm probably not. I have writing to do. I do that. We gotta sign off. It's sad, but it's that time.
So for news,
I'm
JT. He's JT, and we're out of here.
Peace.
Later.